so I'm going to lead it for Rob and thank you, that's beautiful. So, Rob, I'm not going to make you cry. This is going to kind of suck. You're going to hate it. Alright, thanks, Rob, for coming back and sharing your story. It's important.
Really grateful to be here. Just curious, how many of you right in this moment are feeling a little over-responsible and under-supported? How many of you are feeling overextended and underrepresented? How many of you are feeling overbearing and under-investigation? Walk around. Everybody. This time, just the men. It seems like it might have been a bad idea. All right, I'm going to make it singular. Just that man. Starting. beasts, and there are some people who are angels. My friend John Fortino is both of those in my life. How about a nice round of applause for John? Here goes the world premiere, the debut of my one-man play in 3 unnatural acts. It's my attempt to bring a little light to the darkness of depression. It doesn't dodge the difficulties, but it does try to look at the places where there are hidden gifts. And certainly to give biggest amount of loving thanks to people who really get through it. A couple of whom are in this room. It means so much to me to see you here. So in this, I get to combine the several physical activities that I love and one psychological label that I loathe. Manic. 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 It's not funny to face it, but I found out that I'm bipolar. There. I said it out loud in public. I'm not proud of it, but I'm sick of being scared of the stigma and hiding in a shame closet. I'm breaking the silence because I want to find a way to make art out of pain. To help me to illustrate some of the struggles and the strain. I have a medium and a metaphor and a title to which I'm sure you can relate. Act 1. It's a juggle out there. Life flies past so fast that our long to-do lists can just get so out of hand even when we bend over backwards. Okay, I don't think anyone knows. We can still feel like we just got too many balls in the air. Are you with me? Yeah. Good. Because now I want to try to go from the universal down to the personal. And use this style of 3D storytelling to provide a sneak peek inside a part of my psyche that I seek to hide and ignore. A guide who can let you see what it's like to be me when I start to soar. Have no fear on those days when I've just got it all going. I mean, when my ideas are clicking and my imagination is kicking into high gear. I mean, when all my creative juices are flowing. Well, frankly, it can be a little difficult to explain just how frighteningly fast the sheer synergy is between the right and left hemispheres of my brain, rapidly making fresh synaptic connections. Connections. Isn't that what creativity is all about? Connections. Isn't that what brings us together as a creative community? Isn't that what galvanizes us to try to turn some things around for the better? And at the same time, we really work hard to make sure that the things that we really believe in, principles that matter, stand tall. Connections that simultaneously flash past and streak by like grease lightning, but all imagination is inspiring. And the talent agents are hiring. And it's like I've got the world on a string. I can do anything. And when fear steps in and tries to steer, I just say, go, and I make it flat out disappear. And when it's past and gone, just for fun, like magic, I make it reappear. And I add another one. What a gas! An invisible fourth ball? Sure. It's a snap. And when my flip hip rap is totally out of sight, and my career is burning bright, my mind shines with levity and light, and my mania I hide behind this mask, morning, noon, and night. And therein lay my fatal slip. Thought I could captain my own ship of fools, and all caution defy, and the perils of hubris deny, and forgot one of life's cardinal rules, and took the ball off my eye. I mean my eye off the ball. And that's when I crashed. Act 2, the inner critic licks its chops. I knew it was my own damn fault. I had no one else to blame but myself. I was 30 years old and the self-hatred hit me hard. I didn't understand. And I overreacted, quit juggling, and I stopped exercising, and my mood sank. I was so busy beating myself up, I failed to notice that physical and mental are interconnected. And my mood sank low. I had no energy, no aspiration. I started listlessly shuffling through my days. I went to bed early. I woke up way before the alarm. A knot in my belly. A pit of anxiety that I couldn't unwind. I woke up feeling drained. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to see anybody. I stayed in, I stewed, and I said no to all of my family and friends' invitations. I was pissed at myself, and my inner critic was pulling me away from everything and everyone that I loved. I removed myself from all of the things that had been such a part of my daily life. I kept separating myself further and further from people and from things. And I kept fueling my guilt. No one had ever told me that isolation and anger turned inward are the linchpins of depression. I didn't know the textbook definition of depression. All I knew was that there was a toxic psychic stew that was causing a sit-down strike inside my head. Appetite, energy, interests, optimism, willpower, all wouldn't work. Hope, humor, creativity, confidence, Self-care, self-love, all called in sick. The foreman fell down on the job and shut down the whole plant, and soon all self-esteem could do, meekly wave a white flag of surrender. And self-sabotage grabbed the reins. And if you, or anyone you love, has ever felt the lash of self-loathing, or been subject to the sting of self-hatred, you know how deeply it wounds and how long it lasts. Standard depression is bad enough. Clinical depression is a code red mental crisis with dire consequences. I know. Clinical depression is what caused my Uncle Morty to take his own life. And when my Aunt Thelma heard the condition that I was in, she came over and she would not leave until she got me into the Institute of the Pennsylvania Mental Hospital. I was diagnosed as borderline catatonic and major depressive. It's kind of a strange irony to go on to be a motivational speaker and be borderline catatonic and major depressive. Go figure. I'd always been taught that if you got nothing good to say, don't say anything. And I felt like everything that was inside me was bad. My first visitor was my mother, Judy. After trying to get me to talk to no avail, she said, "Come on, Bob. I want you to put on your shoes. We're going to go outside. We're going to stretch our legs, get some fresh air. It'll be good for us." I meekly followed her outside. And then to my surprise, I saw right there on the grounds of the mental hospital, they had a 7-hole miniature golf course. My mom got all excited. She said, "Come on, Bob, let's play. It'll be fun." And after watching me shuffle like I was on Thorazine for like 3 holes, absolute blank stare on my face, even Judy realized that major depression and miniature golf are kind of like equally absurd. You sure she didn't know what to do? And she didn't say anything. And she just kind of motioned for me to follow her, and we walked a little bit. And then she found this wrought iron bench beneath this tall oak tree. She patted the bench for me to sit next to her, and I sat down. For a while, neither of us spoke. And then my mom broke the silence with a simple question. She said, "Son, can you tell me one reason why you want to stay alive?" I couldn't think of one. I lowered my head and remained mute. Suddenly I felt my mom's fingers on my chin, and she swiveled my face towards hers, and she peered into me with an intensity I'd never seen before. And she said, "Bobby, I love you so much, son. I worked so hard to bring you into this world. I don't want to lose you. Son, please, promise me, no matter how bad it gets, you will not take your own life." She was my mother. What could I say? I nodded yes. And for the next few months, that promise is the only thing that kept me alive. I got good treatment, and I got great support from family and friends, but the demon of the blue funk poisoned any capacity for connection. I sort of knew intellectually that they loved me, but I couldn't feel it. I couldn't take it in. But it didn't stop my friend Ray from visiting. And when he came one day, he said, "Hey, Rob, I noticed as I was coming in, this hospital has a nice pool. You're a good swimmer. You should check it out." I said, "No thanks, Ray. It doesn't have any appeal." He says, come on, exercise, it's good for you, you should do it. I said, Ray, look, I just don't have any interest in swimming, okay? Ray said to me, yeah, in most cases, that would make sense. But the thing is, Rob, ordinarily, sure, you gotta be interested in something to want to try it. But it works the other way around when you're depressed. I think you could tell that he surprised me and I didn't understand. So he kindly broke it down for me and made it as simple and straightforward as he could. He said, Rob, normally interest leads to involvement. But when you're depressed, it's the reverse. Involvement precedes interest. I still didn't fully understand, but somehow he got me to go down to the pool. Begrudgingly, I swam one lap. I hated it. But that night, when I went to bed, a little speck in my psyche lied to me for having tried. And the next day and the day after that, I went back to the pool. And that little speck sprouted into a seed of self-respect. The pool water. And gradually, over time, I started to feel better about myself because I had some self-discipline, because I had a determination to try to do something to help myself, to not just passively receive medications and treatments and other stuff. I was actually doing something to be in my own corner. Ray was right. Involvement preceded interest. Only partly because we're, 70% water? And when I'm submerged in the water, I feel like I'm in my natural element. And when I'm in the water, it supports me. It makes it easy on my muscles and my ligaments and my joints. And when I swim, sure, it's physical exercise, but it's also a kind of meditation and a spiritual balm. Maybe because I love water so much, I got really involved with checking out waterfalls. And I'd like to read to you something that I wrote. It's titled, The Wisdom of the Waterfalls. It's prefaced by a quote, one short line from a poem aptly titled Fluent by the writer John Donahue. I would love to live my life the way a river flows, carried along by the surprise of its own unfolding. You can almost hear from the Allman Brothers Eat a Peach Out in Blue Sky, Greg Allman singing, walk along the river, sweet lullaby, it just keeps on flowing. It don't work where it's going. Waterfalls. How do they blend sight and sound so seamlessly? How can they be both fluid artwork and mobile music? I can't explain it, but to me, waterfalls are harmony in motion. A churning current winding around boulders and cleaving through crevices until the river and the rocks gracefully interweave, twisting the rushing waters into liquid braids of play, power, and rhythmic peace. Okay, Peck, enough poetry. Get to the practical part. Oh, all right, alter ego, if you insist. Cascades are both inspiring and instructive. The water flows because it goes with gravity. Rather than resist the rocks barring their way, the current calmly winds its way around. Lesson 1, why force when you can flow? Success stems more from fluidity and flexibility than any fixed agendas. Try it. Let yourself be carried along by the surprise of your own unfolding. Lesson 2, go with what you got. The only way a stream becomes a cascade is when something challenges its momentum. No resistance, no running water, and no rising to the sound of liquid music worthy of the name waterfalls. Without the rocks, the stream don't sing. Lesson 3. Impediments fuel ingenuity. It's the bumping into the barriers that compels the river to constantly reinvent itself. A moving current that winds, twists, turns rhythmically, resilient, and resourceful. In my music, waterfalls are nature's version of an acronym I use to sum up the human and divine connection that links grit and grace. Whoops, W-H-O-O-P-S. When humans overcome obstacles, Providence smiles. And for a little while, it looked like Providence was smiling on Peck. I had just come out with this book. Oh, by the way, in the slight chance that you might be interested in purchasing one of these books, I want you to know that on the back it says $14.95. But I like you. And I want to do something special. So tonight, and tonight only. Sound familiar? Yeah. I'll tell you what. If you really want this book, and you only have $14.90, I'll let you slide for it. If you have $15, that'd be great. If you have $10, that's good. If you have $5, that's fine. And if you have no money, but you really like this book, it's my gift. I thought the book was going to launch my career. I was very optimistic. I also got engaged, which is even more optimistic. In short order, both things came crashing down, and after a long period of psychological stability, the blue funk was back. It was back with a vengeance, and it was back with a twist. Depression disguised as hypomania. Hypomania is a term I learned much later that differentiates between two different kinds of bipolar depression. If you're bipolar 1, what used to be called manic depression, you have really intense, sustained highs, stay up all night, make tremendous promises, purchase all kinds of things, think you're going to become president. And then, so you crash, and James Comey testifies, and it has this kind of undulation. You go way up, then you go way down, but it's somewhat rapid cycle. What I have, I found out, is called bipolar 2. It's kind of like manic depression light. I don't, thankfully, stay up all night. I do have moments where I feel really energized and a kind of soaring creativity. It's part of what I was trying to share with you with the juggling piece. But I don't have it that it lasts for 3 nights in a row. And the bad news is, when you come down from bipolar 2, you go down even lower and even longer. And I felt like I was sinking into a kind of psychic quicksand. My Aunt Thelma and my Mom Judy were no longer alive to pull me out. And I didn't expect much from my old man, Arthur. My dad is Jewish, doctor, psychiatrist. Let's see, what part of that sentence is done? He fought in World War II, and his experience as a soldier really shaped him. My father came out of the service determined to walk the straight and narrow, and I loved him and looked up to him so much, I was the straightest boy on the block. And I lived for sports. If it was round, rubber, and rolled, Rob rejoiced. And my dad was great. He taught me to hit, took me to ball games, taught me to root for the underdog. We had favorite players that we championed, and we bonded. In junior high, my father coached our Little League team, and all my friends liked him, respected him. And it even seemed like some of them looked up to him almost as much as I did. All through those adolescent years, my dad was my rock. If something really troubled me and I needed a good father-son talk, he put aside whatever was there and paid such close attention. And at the end, I always felt like he really heard me. And that really helped me. When I got to high school, I really wanted to try to see if I could be a chip off the old block. So I really studied hard. I got good grades. I got some varsity letters. I did everything to make my pop proud. And in my senior year, I was so determined to follow in his footsteps, I applied early decision to his alma mater, the University of Pennsylvania. And when I got in, my dad was so tickled, he took me and 4 of my friends out to my favorite restaurant to celebrate. The first several years of college, even though I was away from home, I still felt really close. And then in my junior year, against all advice, I decided to do an individualized major in African American culture. My parents were so pleased. Not so much. Especially when at the end of my junior year, during pledge week, I tried to get into the one all-black fraternity of campus. Groove Phi Groove. Who could make this up? Somehow, my attempt to break the color barrier in reverse worked, and the brothers let me in, making me Rob Peck, alias Clorox. Lone Caucasian in Groove Phi Groove history. My mom kind of got a kick out of the whole thing. My dad was not so amused. Especially when I told him towards the end of my senior year that I was going to pass on graduate school and try to get a career as a professional jumper. My dad, the doctor, this was a little bit like his prize apple. Not only was falling far from the tree, it was rolling down a steep hill and winding up in a whole different field. An unruly meadow that he had a narrow aversion to. And he voiced his dissatisfaction in no small terms. And I think to both of our surprise, I didn't cave in. I rebelled. My father's eyes must have looked like I ran away with a circus. And he wrote me off. He didn't disown me financially. But the constant displeasure and the disapproval was such a drain on the emotional bank account that we just grew increasingly distant, and as the decades went by, ever more estranged. So I didn't even think to tell him that I was back to dealing with depression. And I tried everything else. Tried exercise, tried meditation, tried diet, tried working with a psychologist, and tried antidepressants. What I didn't know and didn't find out till pretty late in the deal was that, unlike most mental illness, when you're bipolar, antidepressants are at best impotent, and at worst actually exacerbate your condition. And I just began to lose hope. I'm not proud of this, but I started to have suicidal fantasies. At this time in my life, I had a grown daughter, Jazz. And she really convinced me that for my own good, I needed to be hospitalized. hospital tried, saw a psychiatrist, nothing seemed to make anything any better. Finally, they said they were kind of running out of options, that I needed to do electroshock therapy. Did that. Nothing still shifted. And every day, either John or my daughter Jazz would come and visit me at 6 o'clock for visiting hours. So when they told me at 6 o'clock that I had a visit, I thought I knew who it would be. So when I saw my father, I was almost shocked. And my dad spent some time talking with me and told me that he really wanted to try to be there for me, and I was really important to him. And he said he wanted me to go and speak to some of the psychiatrists, wanted to see some of the regimen that I was on, and then he would come back. When he came back, it was time to leave. I walked him down to the elevator. My father got in. And as the door was closing, suddenly, my dad, the combat veteran, shoved his arm out and burst the doors open. And then he took 2 steps towards me and he cupped my head in his palms and he kissed me on the lips. Then he got back in the elevator. I was too stunned to even speak. And I'm sure from her grave, my mother Judy was feeling like this was a sign. And I thought to myself, if I could just get better, I could get a second chance to have a closer relationship with my father. It wasn't like my dad's kiss made all my psychic memories go away. It took time and a lot of other treatment. But clearly, I have recovered, hallelujah, and I feel so grateful, and I am especially happy to say that things between me and my old man are really, really good. And I would like to invite my friend John Cochino, wherever he has gone to, right there, to come and help me celebrate with a song aptly titled The Second Chance Blues. And true to the title, it's got a chorus that repeats 3 times. Life has given us a second chance, and I would be honored if you would sing it with us. Angels want to blow me a kiss. Love knows best when he will follow on us. Say goodbye to old downs and hello to new things. Life has given us brand new things. Yeah, life has given us a second chance. I said life has given us a second chance. You know, life has given us a second chance. Open our hearts and dance, dance, dance. Echo back, I'm courageously speaking my truth.
When I'm courageously speaking my truth,
It's like I'm drinking from a fountain of youth.
it's like I'm drinking from the fountain of youth.
I feel light, lively and loose.
I feel light, lively and loose.
So angels sing, angels want to our heart alive. Our lives are ours to shape and design. To hold and polish our gifts till they shine. So angels, sweet angels, won't you know your kiss? Love flows best when you follow others. Say goodbye to old doubts that held on to new peace. Life has given us a second chance. Life has given us a second chance. I said life has given us a second chance. You know life has given us a second chance. To open our hearts and joy. Dance, dance, dance. All right, I'm back. So, I'm choosing to break the silence because I learned firsthand that the stigma of depression is a box that's built on 4 S's: shame, secrecy, silence, and separation. 5th S, the box can become a casket. This light is for all the lives that were lost, and also for all the lives that have been saved. It's for you, Thelma, and you, Judy, and you, Pop, and to all of you who in different parts of your own lives have had to deal with despair, have had to dig deep into the darkness and discover some little flicker of light, some little spark of hope that gives you the strength to go on and reminds you of the ancient wisdom that it is always better to light one candle than to curse the darkness. Because one candle can ignite a whole bunch of others. It's a miracle. Happy Hanukkah in June. Sometimes it feels like it would take a miracle to dismantle the stigma of depression and all the stereotypes and labels that confine us into little boxes. It can be a tall order. And to pull it off can feel almost like magic. But I found out firsthand that at the base is something which needs a little adjustment. Talk quietly amongst you. All right, take 2. Like I was saying, to pull it off, it almost seemed like magic. And I learned that at the base, there's a solid community. And there are interconnected networks of support. It turns out we don't have to really believe in magic. Because the real magic is in believing. quote the writer Dan Burris, sometimes it's only when we can see the invisible that we can do the impossible. I will now swallow the bottle. Alright, on second thought, how about if I bounce him and you guys give me a little finger popping rhythm? Just slides into place. It is positively foolproof. Here's my final words for the evening. Whoops. When humans overcome obstacles, Providence smiles.